Hello Internetians, my name is Josh, aka Ultra Player, welcoming you to Week 1 Team Builder of the MLP, the Major League Pokemon. The New York Metagross are taking on the Georgia Granbulls and Coach Archeops. Now, this is going to be the first Team Builder I've done. This is the first league that I'm actually recording, so I'm really hyped. If you do not know what we have on our draft, go to the link in the description, where you will be taken to our draft recap for the New York Metagross. Now, the Georgia Granbulls have drafted a very, very strong team that I am very scared of. And in all honesty, I kind of had a lot of trouble building this team just because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to run offense, I wanted to run balance, I wanted to run stall. I didn't want to run stall. I felt like it could have been an opportunity. I felt like I could have run a lot of defensive Pokemon just to be able to handle all of his threats, but I went with more of a bulky offensive kind of route just because I feel like that's what's going to end up being best for me to be able to take it on, or take on his team. Like, there's a lot of offense, but there's also a lot of ways to take hits, and that's what I feel like is best, just because his offense pairs up so well against my defense, and my offense pairs up really good against his entire team. So, if you do not know our team consists of Megalopony, Jirachi, Clefable, Tentacruel, Mandibuzz, Heliolisk, Sceptile, Smeargle, Pinsir, Rotom, Regular Form, and Frogadier. His team shall appear under me right now. His team consists of Weavile, Goodra, Zoroark, Braviary, Weezing, typos, Charizard, Mega Alakazam, and Toxic Croak. Now, we're going to get some live editing. Now, the first thing I noticed when I was building was that Weavile absolutely destroys my team. Like, I don't have a lot that can switch in and take it on. There you go, Weezing's fixed. Woo, Weezing. I don't have a lot of that switches into Weavile. Don't have a lot that switches into Mega Alakazam. Braviary, kind of. I do have ways to kind of handle it. Toxicroak can be a threat, but I don't really expect him to bring it. And then Magnezone can do a lot of stuff. It hurts my core. It traps my Jirachi. It is very threatening. Goodra, very bulky, kind of stops my special threats. Stuff like Heliolisk, stuff like my Clefable, kind of. I mean, it doesn't take a lot from Moonblast because if I'm uninvested, which Clefable is usually defensive anyway. It stops the special Jirachi, it stops Tentacruel, it stops special Sceptile, stops a lot of stuff, and I do expect him to bring it. That's just a good Pokemon for him to be able to bring and just use as a great sponge. Zoroark is very scary. Hiding or being able to use illusion, his ability illusion, and playing mind games and just being really hard to deal with. I do have Mons that do handle it, so I don't think he will bring it. I mean, the worst they can do is the mind games and maybe get a KO, but I do have things that just straight up just wall it. Like Mandibuzz just walls it. Braviary, again, strong flying type, very scary. Weezing is basically the only thing on his team that really wants to take on Megalopony. He has one thing that outspeeds it without a Scarf, and that's the only thing he has to take a hit. That, I'm also kind of afraid of, like, a gooey Goodra slowing me down. But other than that, like, that Weezing's the only thing that stops Megalopony. Charizard, 4 times weak to rocks, and he has no hazard removal. So I don't expect him to bring it. It can be kind of hard to deal with if he starts setting up Sword Dancing with acrobatics, but, again, I don't expect him to bring it. Just how it is. Mega Alakazam, super fast, super strong, has the coverage it needs to hit my entire team. Toxicroak, setup sweeper, not worried about. And for Alligator, if I think starts setting up DDs, then we could be in trouble, but I do believe I have handled that very well. So, enough of his team. Again, like I said when I was talking about Charizard, he has no hazard removal. So that's one of the other things I noticed. I noticed Weavile's going to be a threat, Mega Alakazam is going to be a threat, and he has no hazard removal with a lot of rock weaknesses. He has 1, 2 resistances, and just everything's either neutral or weak. So, of course, I wanted hazards. So, the first thing that came to mind was my Smeargle. Now, this Smeargle set is just there to help my offense out. Sticky Web is good because it makes that Alakazam a lot less of a threat. If that thing is slow, I can start hitting it hard and pounding it and making sure it doesn't do what it does best, killing everything. It also nullifies any Scarfers he may have to try and get a kill on Mega Lopunny. And there's one other reason I had Sticky Webs. And it helps mitigate that Dragon Dancing for Alligator. Stealth Rock, just really good at getting chip damage on him. And I put Spikes on there because in case I was able to get at both Rocks and Webs, I wanted to be able to start stacking Spikes too, because Spikes would be able to wear him down really well. I also have Roar on there because I don't want anything to be able to set up on me. I don't want his Feraligatr to sit there and set up Dragon Dances while I'm trying to put up Hazards. I don't want Magnezone setting up a Magnet Rise and making it being harder to take on. Even though I have a Mega Lopunny. I don't want Zoroark to set up. I think it gets Swords Dance and next block. I don't want Braviary setting up a sub. I don't want Weavile setting up a Swords Dance. Mega Alakazam Calm Mind, Toxic Hoax, Swords Dance. I don't want any of it setting up on me. I want it to be, if it starts setting up, I want to roar it out. Focus Sash to make sure I get up as many hazards as possible, and then I just have max HP, max speed. I didn't need to be specific with my EV spread on this because it's just here to set up hazards and die, in all honesty. So, like I said, next thing, I did notice that Mega Lopunny is a big threat for him, so we are bringing it with Limber to be able to switch in on, make sure we don't get paralyzed. Weezing's the only thing he has, and that gets whittled down. Like, it takes like 30-some% from return, I believe, and while it can switch in like once, after that, it's done. And there's no more beating it. Fake Out gets me my Mega Evolution, and combined with Quick Attack, that lets me be able to pick off stuff like Mega Alakazam or a Scarf. I don't know, +1 for Alligator or a Scarred Braviary or something. Return and High Jump Kick are just basic stabs. They nuke his team. Like, Weezing goes down, Mega Lopunny comes in and gets a kill every single time. Now, for the actual EV spread, I do have max attack just to be able to hit as hard as possible, dish out as much damage, and pressure him as much as possible. The speed is to outspeed a modest Alakazam, or Mega Alakazam. I wanted to just go enough for Weavile and have a lot more bulk and be able to run Adamant. But I felt the need, well, I don't think I could run Adamant. I still had to run Jolly. I could have had a lot more bulk. But I wanted to be able to outspeed a modest Alakazam. Because a modest Alakazam is something he can bring just to be able to punch holes better. Because a modest Alakazam does outspeed Mega Lopunny speed creeping a Weavile. Which, well, that's what I would do. I wouldn't go for Mega Lopunny. I would go for that speed tier. Because it's just what I would do. It's what I would think they would run if I was on his side. And also modest Alakazam also kind of does a lot. It helps pick up a lot of better Okos and 2-hit KOs. With modest, it does 2-hit KO my Mandibuzz. With modest, I believe it picks up a KO on Jirachi. I'm not entirely sure. I know modest, I'd rather go timid, in all honesty. But if he does run modest, which is going to be a lot scarier, Mega Lopunny can just outspeed it and one-shot it with a return. And after all that, I just put the rest in HP. Not going to make a difference, but every bit counts. So next, we are bringing our Polaris, our Jirachi, with Cobra Berry. Weavile is a big threat. I don't want Weavile to be able to come in on many things and just be able to wreck shop. I have a lot of checks to this thing, just because I think it's going to be the first thing he sees that he can bring is Weavile. Ironhead, with this investment, straight up Okos a Weavile. Even if he has some bulk, it will always Oko a Weavile. Hidden Power Ground will, I believe it one-shots a no HP Magnezone. Thunderbolt will 2-hit KO Charizard, it 2-hit KOs Braviary, it 2-hit KOs for Alligator, it 2-hit KOs Archeops. And then, like I said, Iron Hand's just there for basically everything else, but I wanted enough to be able to make sure that Weavile goes down. I have Cold Period to take one knockoff and just get rid of it. And U-turn gives me good initiative. I wanted kind of a lot of Volt turn to be able to get stuff like Megalopony in and just start hitting. Like I said, the special attack is to make sure I could 2-hit KO anything that Thunderbolt was super effective against, and I could beat Magnezone. I have enough speed for a Jolly or Timid Toxicroak, as well as there's two things I wanted with most of my Mons. Like there's one other Mon you're gonna see with this general speed here. It outspeeds a max speed Toxicroak, and it also outspeeds a Timid max speed Mega Alakazam after Sticky Web drop. That way I can U-turn on it and deal a bunch of damage. I can Iron Head, maybe Iron Head flinch it to death. I can just pound it really hard and make that Alakazam so much of a threat, less of a threat. If I get webs up, that is going to be the best thing. Even if I only get webs up, that's what I want. Of course, I'm going to try. I want rocks, I want spikes, just to be able to make it a lot easier. Next, we have a Mandibuzz, as this is my only thing that can potentially not get 2-hit KO'd by Alakazam. If he is timid, which, I mean, he has a reason to bring timid, and he has a reason to bring modest, honestly. Dazzling Gleam will not 2-hit KO me. And Foul Play does a ton of damage. I also have U-turn for initiative. Like I said, I want a lot of Volt turn. Whirlwind will start phasing stuff out when I get my hazards up. If and when I get my hazards up, I can start whirlwinding stuff out and start causing a lot of damage. I don't need any physical defense because things I would switch it on, such as the Toxicroak, doesn't really want to take me on that well anyway. It doesn't want to stay in on me because they can't Oko me, and then I can Brave Bird it into Oblivion, and stuff like Toxicroak, stuff like I don't know, maybe Braviary. I didn't really calc for Braviary. I kind of felt like I had ways to handle Braviary with other Mons. I wanted Whirlwind. Again, this also keeps Mandibuzz from being set up fodder for stuff like the Feraligatr. And it's just to help get damage off on stuff. Put stuff in range of Megalopony's attacks. Put stuff in range of maybe a hit from Jirachi or a Mon you'll see later down the road. Roost is just standard, and Foul Play will keep is another thing to discourage setup. I don't want him setting up. He has a lot of ways to set up on me and just start pounding my team. I'm usually weak to set up in League format, and I don't want to be this time. Foul Play is if he starts setting up with Feraligatr, I can bop it. If he starts setting up with Swords Dances with Toxicroak, I can Whirlwind it out, etc., etc., etc. The speed is just making sure I don't get speed crept, as well as being able to outspeed stuff like I think it's a Charizard, a max speed Charizard, a max speed Jolly, or max speed Modest or Adamant Charizard. No. Why did I have the speed? I think I just had the speed to make sure I don't get speed crept by stuff like Magnezone or Weezing or Goodra, if it throws in like 8 points or something like that. I didn't want something speed creeping me and beating me. So next we have our Clefable with another Weavile check. Again, Weavile, a threat. I don't have much I don't have anything that can easily take on Weavile, so I had to get creative. We are actually running a soft boil 3 attacks Clefable because it's what could be used, honestly. I need max HP and max defense. I wanted to burn a bit more speed for Weezing, but I need the max HP and max defense to make sure I can take on an Icicle Crash into a Poison Jab from the Weavile and bop it with a Moonblast. I also have Psychic on there for Toxicroak and Weezing. I have Him Power Ground on there for Magnezone. This thing is not going to be something that can be set up fodder. Again, he cannot set up on me with anything. And I can just start bopping him back. This is why this is what I really wanted with the team. I wanted a bulky offense, and that's what Clefable is going to be able to do for me. It may only have 95 special attack, but it still hits pretty hard. I can switch into Gudra and potentially weaken it. I can beat Zoroark if it decides to come in. I can, technically, as long as I don't get too much prior damage put on Clefable, I can beat the Weavile. I can weaken Weezing. Charizard is basically the thing that likes Clefable, so if I see Charizard in this match and he comes on Clefable, I gotta get out of there, go into one of my checks for it. I can take a hit from Alakazam and get off a little bit of damage. I do believe I break a sub, which is what I wanted. I wanted to throw some special attack investment to make sure I break a sub, but I already did. And yeah. So the last thing I am bringing, I wanted a bunch of speed just in case. I wanted something that could outspeed the Alakazam if I didn't get my webs up and be able to help take it down. So I went with my Heliolisk. Originally I had Rotom on there, but I felt Heliolisk would do more damage and its faster speed was better anyway. As well as this is a good for alligator check. I do outspeed a +1 for alligator. I do outspeed a Scarfed Toxicroak. I do outspeed a Alakazam with or without webs. I outspeed everything on his team except for a Scarfed Zoroark. Or a Scarfed Charizard, actually. But I have checks to those again. Like, depending on the Charizard set, I have... Like, actually, I think Mandibuzz is just... Actually, I'm kind of weak to Charizard. But I don't expect him to bring Charizard since I have a Smeargle Hazard Stacker. I expect him to bring Archeops to stop my Smeargle Hazard Stacking. I have Volt Switch, Hyper Voice, Dragon Pulse, and Hidden Power Ground. Hidden Power Ground is on a lot of things because Magnezone is coming. Magnezone can... Like, look at my team. Mega Lopunny does not want to take a hit. Jirachi is trapped. Clefable does not want to take a Flash Cannon. Tentacruel, Thunderbolt. Mandibuzz, Thunderbolt. Heliolisk is actually my check to Magnezone. Sceptile does not want to take a Flash Cannon. Smeargle does not want to take anything. Pinto does not want to take anything. Rotom is another potential check, but I didn't want to bring it. Frogadier can't take a Thunderbolt. He's bringing Magnezone. So I wanted to make sure I had Hidden Power Ground on a lot. I have Dragon Pulse for the Gudra, in case I feel like it's going to switch in and be that sponge that I was talking about. And I have Solar Power over anything because I don't feel like I need Dry Skin for Alligator since I already outspeed a +1 and he is not going to get to +2. I will not let him. I have 2 phasers. I have a Mega Lopunny which just destroys it. I have the only thing he could potentially set up on is maybe the Clefable, and he would not want to set up on that thing anyway because I might have T-Wave. So that for Alligator ain't going to be doing too much. So if he does manage to get to +2, then I might be in trouble and I might have to fake out Quick Attack it to death. But I have Volt Switch on there for, again, initiative. This whole thing is going to be about Hazard Stack and initiative and pressure and just laying on the damage until Mega Lopunny comes in and just cleans. Hyper Voice will let me hit the... It's my best move to hit the Alakazam because I'm not running Thunderbolt because I can't afford it. I need Dragon Pulse because it's my best move for Gudra. Does like 30, maybe. Yep. This also outspeeds the Archeops, which is good because, again, I do expect that Archeops to come. It's the only fast taunt on he really has that he can afford to run taunt on. It'll be a great anti-lead for Smeargle. And it actually just does a lot to my team. Like, Head Smash, Earthquake, Acrobatics, Taunt is really good. He might also try and put Stealth Rocks on there, as it is one of his only Stealth Rocker. It is his only Stealth Rocker. I might add, his only other hazard setter is the Weezing with Toxic Spikes. So that's good. That's also a good reason why I might leave Mega Lopunny, just to make sure I beat that Archeops, unless he is Choice Scarfed. The speed is the same as Jirachi. It's outspeed Toxicroak, it's to beat Alakazam. Max special attack, I can't afford to run Modest, which is great, and then the rest in bulk. His pitiful bulk. This matchup, I don't really know what to expect. If my checks to Weavile go down, I can be in big trouble. If Mega Alakazam starts getting a little out of control, if Heliolisk goes down and I don't get up webs, I might be in trouble. But I believe I prepped well. I believe I prepped a lot for Weavile and Mega Alakazam and Magnezone, because those three are my biggest worry. And Arceus. Altogether, I think he's going to bring in Weavile. I think he's bringing Goodra. I think he's bringing Mega Alakazam. I think he's bringing Magnezone. I think he's bringing Arceus. And the last one's kind of a toss-up, but I think he's going to bring the Weezing to handle Mega Lopunny. But that is the team. Quick recap. Smeargle, we are bringing Mega Lopunny. We are bringing Jirachi. I wanted this to be Life Orb, by the way, to deal out more damage, but I couldn't afford the weakness to Weavile. We are bringing Mandibuzz, Clefable, and Heliolisk. So the battle will actually go up tomorrow. They are on Showdown under the Showdown name New York Metagross, because I am all about promoting that name. I love hearing that out loud. It's so good. But that's what we're bringing. I hope everyone enjoys, and let's hope that the New York Metagross ends up with going 1-0